So, the new 2025 budget has landed, and it's making some big promises about putting more money back in your pocket. Sounds good, right? But after the last few years, we're all a bit skeptical. Is this for real? Well, today, with this expert analysis developed by our friends at ProTax Accountant, we're going to dig past those headlines. We'll get into the real story behind the numbers and figure out what this all actually means for your money.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? With prices for, well, everything still feeling sky high, is this budget going to be the break we've all been waiting for? Or are there some sneaky catches hidden in the fine print that could end up costing us more? Let's find out together. Now, to make sure we get this right, this whole breakdown has been developed by the absolute experts over at ProTax Accountant. Seriously, these guys have gone through the entire 2025 budget with a fine-tooth comb, so we can get the real inside scoop on what all these changes actually mean for regular people.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with your wallet and the budget, then jump into energy bills. After that, it's all about your pay, tax, and benefits. We'll also see what's happening with pensioners, look for any gaps or catches, and then wrap up with your next steps. Let's get right into it. Okay, first up, let's talk about the one thing that's been on everyone's mind, those energy bills. The 2025 budget made a pretty big headline announcement about a cut, but what's the real story? Let's decode it. So the magic number you've probably heard is £150. That's how much the average household is supposedly going to save on their energy bill for the year. And how are they doing this? Well, it's mainly by cutting a couple of the green levies on our bills. They're ending one scheme that helps with home insulation, and the government is stepping in to temporarily pay for another one that supports renewable energy. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. This saving? It's not happening tomorrow. You're not even going to see it this year. We have to wait all the way until April 1st, 2026 for it to kick in. So yeah, the timing is everything. It's great news for the future, but it does absolutely nothing for the heating bills this winter. Oh, and it's also worth remembering that part of this cut is only funded by the government until 2029, so it might not be forever.
Now you might be thinking, what if I'm on a fixed rate deal? Good question. Well, don't you worry, because consumer champion Martin Lewis is already on the case. He's putting a ton of pressure on suppliers to make sure this cut is passed on to everyone. And Ofgem, the regulator, will be watching them like a hawk. So even if you've locked in your tariff, you should still see that saving.
Okay, take a look at this. This is where it gets really interesting, because it shows you what your energy bill is actually made of. And here's the shocker. Less than half of what you're paying is for the actual energy you use. The rest, it's all network costs, supplier running costs, and those environmental schemes we were just talking about. It's kind of wild when you see it broken down like this, right? It really shows you where all that money is going. All right, here's a little pro tip for you. That £150 saving is still a long way off. So if you need help now, don't wait. Go and check if you're eligible for something called the Warm Home Discount. It's a scheme that could give you a nice one-off payment on your electricity bill this winter. Seriously, it's a quick check and could make a real difference right now. Okay, moving on from energy bills. Let's talk about your pay packet, your taxes, and benefits. The 2025 budget is bringing in some pretty big changes here, but honestly, it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's definitely not all good news. Let's get into it. Let's start with the good stuff. The national living wage is getting a bump up. For a full-time worker, that means about 900 quid extra a year before tax. And for younger workers, say between 18 and 20, the national minimum wage is also on the rise, giving them a boost of around £1,500 a year. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
But hang on a second. A pay rise on paper doesn't always mean more cash in your hand at the end of the month. See, the government is keeping the income tax thresholds frozen. This creates something that people call a stealth tax. Now stay with me here, because what this actually means might really surprise you.
The official term for this is fiscal drag, and honestly, it's a pretty sneaky way for the government to take more of your money without actually saying they're raising tax rates. Here's the deal. The level of income where you start paying tax or start paying the higher rate of tax, well, that level is frozen. So as your wages go up to keep up with prices, you get dragged into a higher tax bracket. The Office for Budget Responsibility reckons this will pull almost 1 million more people into paying higher rate tax by 2029. Think about it like this. Let's say there's Maria, a freelancer in London. She gets a £2,000 pay rise. Great, but that little bit extra pushes her over the threshold into the higher tax bracket. So, suddenly, a huge chunk of that raise she worked for is gone, straight to the taxman. It's totally one step forward, 2 steps back. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about some genuinely good news, this time for people on universal credit.
Starting in April 2025, your allowances are going up by 1.7%. Now look, it's not a life-changing amount, but hey, every little bit helps, right? For a single person over 25, that works out to be about an extra £6.70 a month.
And now for something that is, frankly, a massive deal. The government is finally getting rid of the two-child limit on benefits. This is happening from April 2026. Now, this policy has been heavily criticized for years, and just by scrapping it, it's predicted that 450,000 children will be lifted out of poverty. I mean, that's huge. This is probably one of the biggest social policy shifts we've seen in a budget for a very long time. It really shows a major change in direction.
All right, what about pensioners? Well, there's a special protection in place for the state pension, and thanks to that, the 2025 budget is delivering another pretty decent boost.
That protection is called the triple lock. You've probably heard of it. It's basically a promise that the state pension will go up each year by whatever is highest out of three things: inflation, the average wage increase, or 2.5%. And for this year, the winner was wage growth, which came in at 4.1%. So pensioners are getting another solid increase that's higher than inflation.
So what does that actually look like in your pocket? Well, if you're getting the full new state pension, you're looking at an extra £9.05 a week. That brings the total up to £230.25. If you're on the older, basic state pension, it's an increase of £6.95 a week. Over a full year, that's a boost of over 470 quid, which will definitely help with the rising cost of, well, everything. Okay, we've covered a lot of the good news parts of the budget. But, as always, it's not good news for everyone. Every budget has its gaps, its catches, the parts that could leave some people struggling. So let's take a look at the other side of the coin. And this is a really big one. While the main part of universal credit is getting that small increase, the part that's meant to help people with their rent, the local housing allowance, is staying completely frozen. The Charity Crisis has put out a stark warning about this. They're saying it will directly lead to more homelessness because people simply can't keep up with rents that are just soaring. This is a massive, critical hole in the budget. And just look at these numbers. They really paint a picture of how bad the situation is. Research from Crisis and the property site Zoopla found that in England, only about 2.4% of rental homes are actually affordable for people who rely on housing benefit. And in Wales, it's even worse, just 1%. For so many people, this freeze is like a ticking time bomb. It's pushing them closer and closer to the edge.
Phew, okay. We have been through a lot today, haven't we? From energy bills to that sneaky fiscal drag. So let's boil it all down. What are the absolute key things you need to remember from this 2025 budget when you're thinking about your own finances?
All right, if you remember nothing else, remember these three things. Number one, that £150 cut to your energy bill, it is coming, but not until April 2026, so don't bank on it just yet. Number two, your pay might be going up, but watch out for fiscal drag, that's stealth tax, because it could grab a bigger slice of your money than you expect. And number three, there are huge changes to benefits. Scrapping the two-child limit is amazing news for many families, but the freeze on housing support is really bad news for anyone renting privately.
Okay, just before we finish up, I have to say this. What we've talked about today is a general guide, but everyone's financial situation is unique, right? So please don't make any big decisions based just on this. It's so important to get advice that's tailored just for you.
Let's be honest, the UK tax system is complicated. It's like a minefield sometimes, but you really don't have to figure it all out by yourself. For personalized advice that's all about your specific situation and how this 2025 budget impacts you, you should really talk to the experts. Get in touch with the team at ProTax Accountant. All their details are right there for you. They can help you make sense of it all and plan for your financial future. Thanks so much for joining me.